And so it begins. Democrats now calling for more cultural dominance, praising Hasan Piker, saying we must support individuals like this. Now, Fox News ain't pulling any punches. They say top Harris aide hypes radical activist who said America deserved 9/11 while plotting future for Dems. House Democrat called Hasan Piker a poster child for the post-October 7th outbreak of anti-Semitism in America earlier this year. Me, oh my. Well, basically what we're seeing right now is Democrats recognizing that they've lost cultural control. The corporate press is no longer what it used to be. And as I've been warning, especially in the previous video, the big players, Disney, Comcast, you name it, they are going to dump money in this space, and they will make sure that these voices rise to the top. Now, I don't believe Hasan Piker is in the path of that trampling that is underway because he's too, anti-Israel, I guess. Now, I think if you are going to play up, like look at Twitch in the adpocalypse where he is. Many people are blaming him for this. Advertisers don't want to touch things where they're going to get accused of any isms. Let's roll, baby. The left is going to say they're defending Israel. The right, well, a lot of people on the right are going to say they're defending Israel too. Let me put it this way. Corporations don't care if it's Israel or black people or gay people or otherwise. Corporations don't want shock and defense regardless of where it comes from. Now, the people who are very Israel-centric, be it for or against, are going to claim that they're the perceived victim, whatever it may be. The reason why I think Hasan Piker is not going to get chosen in this regard is because corporations are going to say he evokes too much negative attention as it pertains to offense. Now, if you're a channel that's critical of some things, maybe gay marriage, something like that, you'll probably still get some advertisers, but it's a sliding scale. You can be critical of Israel and there's no problem. Some people certainly exaggerate and say that, no, you can't. They'll come for you. It depends on what you're saying in your criticism. Like, the things Hasan Piker has said about October 7th and his stances, they go a little far. And I'm not saying he's extreme. I'm saying they go far in one direction. And for a lot of people, as it pertains to Israel, they make it their whole identity. Advertisers don't want to be associated with something that's going to cost them money. So if you are talking about race issues and you're hyper-focused on crime rates of the black community, you can talk about it, nobody cares. But if it's all you talk about, advertisers are going to say no. Democrats probably won't go this direction. That's probably why Fox News is criticizing them. But they are going to go for many of these other liberal creators who I'm not going to mention because I don't want to give them any airtime on that regard. Fox News says, Harris's former deputy campaign manager, Rob Flaherty, said during a recent interview that Democrats are losing hold of culture and laid out a strategy for them to develop a whole thriving system ahead of future elections. We need a whole thriving ecosystem. It's not just Pod Save America, though I think we should have more of them. It's not just Hasan Piker. We should have more Hasan Pikers. It's also the cultural creators, the folks who are one rung out, who influence the nonpartisan audience. Those things all need to happen together. The reality is, it's not going to be big media organizations. It's going to be a network and constellation of individual personalities, because that's how people get their information now, he added. Flaherty, who previously served as the director of digital strategy for the Biden White House, is likely to face backlash for calling for more Hasan Pikers due to Piker's past controversial comments. He had previously raised more than $1 million for Palestinian aid, used his platforms with millions of followers to downplay and justify attacks such as October 7th and 9/11 as acts of resistance in recent years. Yeah, he said something nasty about 9/11. He said nasty stuff about Dan Crenshaw's eye. I mean, a little crass. During a 2019 live stream, Piker praised the brave effing soldier who wounded Dan Crenshaw while he was deployed in Afghanistan as a Navy SEAL, asking, didn't he go to war and literally lose his eye because some mujahideen, a brave effing soldier, effed his eye hole with their D? Yikes, man. Is that what Democrats are going for? Holy smokes. Look, this is what they're going for. They're praising the murder of that CEO. This is what they're going for. He went on to say that America deserved 9/11, saying before later walking it back, saying it was inappropriate. However, in another stream this year, he joked about 9/11 again, saying, oh my God, 9/11-2 is going to be so sick, and give Saudi Arabia a nuke so they can do 9/11-2. Wow, that's geez, dude. In another stream, Piker broadcast propaganda from the Houthis, an Iranian-backed group in Yemen. So we get it. Okay, guys, I'm not here to rag on Hasan Piker. I know people don't like him. They're going to mention that Hasan said Hamas was the lesser evil next to Israel. His Twitch streams regularly hit more than 1 million views and often have as many as 30,000 viewers at a time. You know, we here at Timcast are rather proud of flying under the radar over and over again. For some reason, we rarely ever get mentioned. I think I'm good at hiding in this cave and not doing external press. Though I do think, our media strategy is largely that it has to change. I want to talk to you about where we're currently at and why this story is big. This is the war, my friends. The media is coming. They're praising Hasan Piker. It's exactly what I predicted. We are going to see more of this moving forward. I got a response on the comment section from Candace Owens about what I said. And I think there's a lot to bring up in this. So I definitely want to get into more of Candace's argument and the point she's making, because I'm not saying she's wrong at all. I largely agree with her and the issues at play and where we go media-wise. With the Democrats calling for more Hasan Pikers, I'm going to reiterate, Brett Cooper launching her own channel is a good thing. Certainly, you wanted her to retain the massive marketing efforts of the Daily Wire. She's not going to, but I think she'll be all right. Reagan, replacing Brett, is going to get the massive infrastructure of the Daily Wire. Is that what people are mad? Like, honest question for those in the comments. Is the issue that the Daily Wire spends a ton of money promoting and building up this channel and you want Brett to have that capability? I think she's going to find a way. Having another Reagan is really good. It's really annoying how people just want Daily Wire to be evil. I really just don't like the people who make their whole identity Israel. Guys, you can criticize the Daily Wire, you can criticize Israel. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the people who are obsessed with nothing but Israel and criticize Daily Wire in that vein. Okay? If you're critical of the Daily Wire, you're allowed to be. Not saying that. But we need more people in the space. We need more investment. They're outright saying they want more Hasan Pikers. Well, we want more Brett Coopers. We want more people who are going to be calling out the lies, the cheating, and the stealing. And if we don't focus on Reagan and Brett are of comparable cultural worldview, despite any personal drama or beef that people may perceive. I don't know. I don't care. What we don't want is more Hasan Pikers. Hasan's welcome to come on the show and debate anytime. He's going to stand by his ideas. But if Democrats start reinforcing that space, we get crushed. They're going to pull in, Disney's going to have $1 billion in revenue, and they're going to say, let's allocate $500 million towards owning the podcast space. They already largely control a lot of it. And while they come out and say conservatives are well-funded and organized, that's just not true. The majority of these people who are quote-unquote conservative, independent, the biggest names in the space, largely independent, no big networks. Then you look at these other popular podcasts, and they're more likely to have networks and be produced serialized shows coming from the corporate press and legacy media. It's changing. Rumble's doing a great job. Daily Wire's doing a great job. The Blaze, they're there as well. But, everyone's saying, what, you don't think they're doing a great job? The Blaze is doing all right, but they need to do more. You've got these networks. They could do better. So in response to what we're seeing here, as it pertains to NDAs, I want to cover this and highlight this because Candace did respond based on my last post. For those that aren't familiar, I basically said that Brett leaving the Daily Wire is likely a contract dispute. They didn't come to terms, so she went to do her own channel. So long as she gets good advice and she knows what she's doing, she should be totally fine. I do have concerns about the launching of her channel as of yet. Without any content on it, that could be a big risk as it creates dead subs. I want to stress that because I hope people around her are telling her this. But a lot of people are saying that Daily Wire is this bad. Otherwise, they're saying, it's your friends. Yeah, I consider them to be friends. I think they're doing a great job, and I want to see them succeed. They're building culture. Rumble's doing the same thing. Where's anybody coming out telling me that I'm shilling for Rumble when I praise Rumble over and over again? And this is the funny thing. Timcast.com is Rumble infrastructure. It's all our back end. So here's what I want to say. As per NDAs, there's something important to know. Candace responded when I said there's more to law than just what is written down. There's the court of public opinion. She said, maybe I misunderstood your intention when you wrote, at any time Brett can say anything she wants. Maybe you meant NDAs can technically be violated. They can literally be violated any time with consequences commensurate with your willingness to engage in such consequences. Candace said, parking that aside and speaking more broadly, I find that the purpose of NDAs should be simply to protect important company information. I make my employees sign one-pagers to protect information about addresses, contacts, information about my kids, etc. I've never put an employee under NDA contract because I was worried about them telling the truth about how I treated them. I think that is the core of the current NDA debate, disclosure versus disparagement. And at the heart of what Kanye was hitting at 2 years ago. Putting people under contract so you can treat them like ish and then threaten them financially if they speak about it, as similarly alluded to by the Crowder-Jared controversy, is an entirely different conversation. I just want to point out the paradoxical or insular Crowder-Jared controversy, but Crowder-Daily Wire controversy. And I'm like, guys, we don't need the drama. Okay? Everybody. It's just seemingly whatever. She says, I also take issue with your they are mutual point. Oftentimes, they are not reciprocal. I know plenty of people who are in non-reciprocal clauses. They sign them because they need the job and don't imagine relationships souring. They're all mutual. And I'm not speaking from a legal sense. I'm speaking from a court of public opinion. That's the point. NDAs, when you say you're not going to speak about certain things, the mutual nature of it I'm referring to. And again, I'm not saying Candace is wrong. I think the way she interpreted what I was saying, I will own up to. Let me clarify in that regard. When you go to war is what really matters. Too many people live in this world of boxes and lines. The contract says it, therefore, doesn't matter. If you came to me and said, Tim, I want a job, and I made you sign a contract where I said, I get to own your dog, and you were like, I never agreed to give my dog. Well, why just sign it? A judge is going to tell me to shut up. They're going to be like, you can't slip in weird provisions to trick people in contracts. The contract is dissolved. Nothing you can do to enforce it. Not only that, but how am I going to get your dog? Like, you could just literally be like, nice try, dude. Not going to happen. The point of mutual, what I mean by saying mutual is that going to war is a crisis largely of both parties. Often NDAs are literally mutual, saying parties agree not to disparage or disclose information about either party as it pertains to certain contracts. That is true, but many people are not in a legally mutual, meaning only you can't disparage them, they can disparage you. However, usually it doesn't happen that way, and the war would be mutual. So I'll own up to that and say I mean to clarify. Candace says, like I said, Ye was making a lot of important points about predatory contracts in industries where you have young artists and talent coming up that enter into contractual agreements. These artists usually are not repped by lawyers when they sign them, and then are made to understand the severity of what they signed later. I believe Cardi B is an example of this. It's a major issue with Hollywood-type contracts. Personally speaking, every contract I've signed in my career has been different from the one before. It simply depends on the employer and how they view and treat talent. My response, I said, yes, what I mean is NDAs are extremely difficult to enforce, and resolution, especially with arbitration clauses, can still favor the person who violated the NDA, disclosure or disparagement. In the event Brett or anyone under these agreements decides to go to war and violate them, the sanctions can be nothing compared to blowback on the corporation. Thus, for most parties, it's easier to not go to war and just abide by it and keep things private. If ever a backstabbing was so egregious, people would and famously have violated these agreements. When politics are involved, people can see a lot of money in attacking perceived enemies. I highlight this summary of the McLibel case, which I made reference to in the previous segment. The McLibel case backfired at McDonald's primarily because it attracted massive negative publicity and scrutiny worldwide, undermining the company's reputation rather than protecting it. The simple version is Helen Steele and Dave Morris were distributing leaflets which were libelous, and McDonald's got mad that they were lying. So they sued them, Streisand affecting them, resulting in everybody hearing about the claims. Caused reputational damage because McDonald's labor practices, environmental impact, and food health concerns were publicly examined and criticized. David versus Goliath was one scenario, one component, when McDonald's, a massive corporation, was perceived as bullying two limited individuals with limited resources. It's literally what we're seeing happening now, and no one's even gone to war. The narrative from many people is the Daily Wire has been bullying people, and quite literally, no one's even disparaged each other. The length and cost was the largest in British history, lasting over 10 years. McDonald's won the lawsuit, but the reputational damage outweighed their legal victory. So a lot of people are making points and blah, 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 and whatever, don't care. The moral is never sign an NDA. Okay. Somebody responded with, oh, yeah, but Tim makes people sign NDAs. Yeah, for the same reason Candace said. Look, if I want to do a movie and I tell one party in all contracts, I've brought this up a lot. In contracts, you assert rights over everything you claim, and you are responsible if you lie. So if I go to someone and say, I have the right to this story about a young up-and-coming skateboarder who wants to take over the world of skateboarding, whatever, I don't know. A company says, you have full legal rights to this story, and we can produce it. We enter into a contract. Let's say then I have an employee who's not under an NDA, and they're allowed to communicate all of these ideas. So they go to another company and then say, here's the idea. And that company says, we're going to make that. that could put me in breach of the other contract where they say you had all legal rights over this, but it turns out that guy had a legal right to bring the story to anybody else. So you have to have non-competes. I think non-compete, like ownership rights, is non-compete's not the way to describe it. You're not going to produce content when you work here. You're not going to write for anybody else without approval. You're not going to take any of your ideas elsewhere. You're not going to explain core functions of the business, and you're not going to smack talk us. Okay? Otherwise, you would not be able to enter into these other contracts. Nobody would want to, even for non-disparagements. Don't get me wrong. There are corrupt entities out there, and Candace is completely right about that, and people enter into bad contracts. However, the issue largely is not at play today in many ways. Ye is correct in this industry because you need these labels. But right now, you don't need the Daily Wire. Brett Cooper leaves, and what happens? She launches her own channel. Now, she's not going to get the marketing apparatus of the Daily Wire, but she doesn't deserve it. She deserves everything she built. She deserves your support, but she doesn't deserve anyone else's money other than the money she makes. That's what I'm trying to say. The Daily Wire doesn't want to spend money on her. That's fine. Okay. No one else is. She is free to go and on her own terms build her own thing. And she can. Now with Hollywood and these agreements, where would you go? If you get booted off your label, what do? A lot of these bands have no means of starting a new channel. And so they end up nowhere. But Brett was able to use the comment section platform to announce her new show. And with her Instagram that was built up by Daily Wire and her Twitter, and the work she did, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that she did nothing. I'm saying it's a total corporate combined effort. She is going to walk away with a big opportunity. So it's not all bad. Here's what I want to say. The David and Goliath thing is already happening. We've got Democrats basically coming out saying they want to start funding more Hasan Pikers. And people are like, ooh, the Daily Wire, they're so bad. Come on, guys. Criticize them when it makes sense. But this is a company that challenged the vaccine mandates and made a video saying outright, we will sue the government and we will not do this. While the Democrat establishment media fired people who refused and forced everyone to do it. They lied, they cheated, and they stole from us. And y'all think the Daily Wire is the bad guy? We use Rumble infrastructure, okay? At Timcast, I praise Rumble every single day. I think they're doing a great job, okay? If this is all we've got, by all means, I'm not saying don't criticize things that you think are bad, but this is the bottom of the barrel. And the bigger play is against what they are doing now with the Democratic Party and building up these personalities. So I find it silly to see Crowder being people attacking Louder with Crowder over the Jared scenario. I look at that. I'm like, guys, we need Crowder. Then I see the Crowder Daily Wire and I'm like, guys, we need you both. People are tweeting at me and Candace like, please don't fight. I like both of your shows. I got no beef with Candace. I don't know. She's commenting and she's giving her thoughts on the NDA situation. Granted, she was under NDA at the Daily Wire, so I understand her position on this. She's not wrong. I'm just trying to explain how I feel about it. I don't know why people are mad. People just want drama. They're like, not a good look for you, Tim. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even saying Candace is wrong. I'm just pointing out that warfare, like, if you want to go to war with the NDA, you can, and it can be detrimental to the company, even if you're in the wrong. Let me wrap up by saying this. I've had people violate NDAs on me. I couldn't do anything about it. So what can you, like, the lawyers and the judges are just like, we don't care. The world does not work this way. Nobody wants to go to war because we don't need the war. Brett is taking the honorable path because she's honorable. The Daily Wire also said the same thing. Like, we're sad to see her go. We wish her the best. They're letting her launch this channel off the comment section. And I think it may be slightly acrimonious, but what I see here is no need for drama. Both parties may be upset, but they've both taken the honorable approach. That's basically my point, and I'm glad to see it. I hope all of you just recognize you don't like Ben Shapiro, that's fine. It's better that he is there, and I think y'all will agree. A lot of people are like, I don't even like watching Ben. Yeah, well, at least he's fighting against the gender ideology stuff, so give him that much. I will tell you this. It is in a world, I would much rather have a prominent Ben Shapiro, Brett Cooper, and Candace Owens than a Hasan Piker and whoever else. And so, by all means, let there be drama, whatever. Who am I, dude? Some guy complaining on the internet, fine. I'm just saying, we definitely want to be critical of people we view largely on our side. It's a big umbrella, conservative or post-liberal, disaffected liberal, whatever. But we want to make sure that we are still networking and rallying up and supporting each other against what I perceive to be serious threats to the culture in this country. I'm going to wrap it up there. Smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. Become a member over at timcast.com to support our work. And shout out to everybody. I'm not here to rag on anybody. Best of luck. Candace is doing swimmingly. She's a massive show. I hope Brett Cooper launches and does really, really well. And same for the Daily Wire, same to Rumble, same to everybody else. I revel in Hasan's failures. Look, man, I don't hate the guy, but he's wrong, and I think he's dangerously wrong. So I'll argue against him. I don't want to see them rally the troops and build up big networks. So I don't care to directly criticize Hasan in this regard. I'm saying think positive. Let's build. Let's win. See you all in the next segment.